What is going on, Vibram family? This is Kep, the Vibram Collector. We are going live on YouTube tonight. It is just one of those things that Facebook was giving us a hard time, and so we're going to go live on YouTube. I think it'll be a little bit easier tonight. So give me just 1 second. I'm going to share this in Facebook and get this going. All right, paste. Let me get the link here for the channel, and we will have you guys join on Facebook or on YouTube today. It's going to be way easier, I think, for everybody involved. I'll be able to manage your comments, see your comments, all that stuff. It will also make it to where hopefully we don't have nearly as much lag as we did last night. I know that the lag last night was kind of a problem, so I apologize for that. You know, but hey, it is what it is. We sometimes have technical difficulties, and you know, when that happens, it happens. So, but that's okay. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. So let me get this shared over in the Vibram Disc Golf Collectors group as well, and we will get this thing going. So hopefully a couple of you guys are out there. I'm not quite monitoring the feeds yet, but I will be in there in just one moment, and then we can chat this thing up. I did get a really exciting mail call today, so I'm kind of stoked about that, and I'm gonna show you guys that as well here in a couple of minutes, you know, hopefully you guys will appreciate it as well. Let me get this out there on the collector page. So hopefully we've got a couple of guests out there tonight that are waiting for me right now, and we'll get connected with them as well, and make sure that you know, they're happy with this grip team thing that's going on, and we'll get some feedback from them as well. So how many people we got out there now? We've got 2 of you watching. Good to see you guys. I don't know who's out there. Go ahead and give me a holler. Let me know we got 4 of you watching. Good deal. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. So I will get our first guest tonight is going to be Ben Overbeek. So Ben Overbeek has been in the group for quite some time, the Vibram Disc Golf Collectors group, that is, for quite some time, and he is also the administrator of the Vibram Disc Golfers group. So if you're in the Vibram Disc Golfers group, he's your admin over there, and I know he's doing a good job over there with a couple of other guys. All right, Xander, thanks, man. Thanks for hollering. You guys see I've got my I Love My Wife shirt on today. And hopefully you guys like the background. I'm trying to do something a little bit different with the background. We've got the flagship store there in the background, and you know, trying to do something a little bit different. It'll be kind of cool. So we've got Abby Overbeek tuned in and ready to go to watch her husband tonight. So wanted to show you guys my mug here. I've got my Vista Cuff, you know, mustache guard. It makes it so like when I drink, you know, it doesn't look like a dog drinking and spilling everywhere. So last night we had some great conversations. We talked to Bradly Bramlett. We talked to Mark Cantrell. We talked to Chase Hayden. We talked to Brad Silvers. And we even talked to Vinny Miller. It was an amazing night. We were a little over 2.5 hours total time, which was, it flew by. I didn't realize that we were that long until I looked over and saw my beautiful wife sleeping in bed already. So we had a lot of things come up last night. Most of it was really positive, but there's been some pushback out in the group, right? That you know, they're feeling a little uncomfortable with some of the direction that Vibram's going. So what I'm going to do, guys, is this. I'm talking to Jeff Laney next week. We're trying to lock down a time. We're trying to lock down a day, but we are going to talk to Jeff Laney next week and get some more answers, and you know, hopefully get a little bit more feedback from him as far as, you know, directions, and maybe some questions that some folks have been asking. I know that there's a lot of questions out there with regard to, you know, what's really going on, you know, with this grip team. You know, what does it mean to be on the team, and just get a couple couple more examples. So I see Disc Bite is tuned in. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to talk to Michael a little bit later today as well, and he's going to give you a little bit more detail regarding this bad boy right here, which is the Frozen Toad Open. That's one of the discs that he's selling for a fundraiser there. So you guys definitely give Michael some love and support that tournament. It's something that he's done. This is now the second year, and Michael's just a good dude. He's doing a lot of good stuff in the group, guys. So let's get out there, show him some love, and support that tournament for him. So without further ado, I am going to get logged in here to the conference site, so it'll take just a moment. But one thing that I wanted to do before I actually have Ben join us is I want to show you guys a mail call. You know, it's been pretty exciting that, you know, I've got some amazing friends through the group. I mean, amazing friends through the group. But one of the most amazing guys that I've had the pleasure of just kind of working with here and there from over the past several years is Noriaki out in Japan. So I know everybody's seen his discs, right? He does the custom painted discs and that sort of thing. I was blessed to receive this one. It's been a number of years ago now. So he painted that. That was when I was much younger, as you can see. I didn't have the beautiful beard yet. But you know, that's what it was. You see my cutoff there with the green screen. How about that? But in any case, that's the first thing that he sent to me. When he sent that to me, he sent me a couple minis as well. He sent me this one, which was a Star Wars one, which I used as bid bait on a post one time. It was kind of mean. I put this up there just kind of keep. Anyway, I probably wasn't going to sell it unless it was a ridiculous offer. You know, it's one of those gifts that's like so amazing. You know, you'll take offers just because you're interested in what people think, but in reality, you're not going to sell it. And then he did this one of me, and then this one of my beautiful wife. So not long ago, a couple months ago, I bought several of the float discs, and I knew that Noriaki wasn't going to have an opportunity to get a whole lot, so I packaged up a couple of them and sent them over to him so that he had a decent set that he could work with over there, because over there, you know, everything's got to be 150 class or less in order to play on the courses. So, you know, with that being said, you know, the float discs were perfect because all the float discs were 130s, 140s. So I sent him some float discs out there. He sent me, he posted a picture of it on my birthday, so I already know what it looks like, but I want to share it with you guys. Pardon the noise in the background, but it's wrapped up nice and beautiful like. So here's what we've got. This is the new me, y'all. Oh, and the green screen's going to cut it out a little bit, but that's okay. You can get the gist of it. Woo, that's kind of wild though how it cuts out the green. Wherever you see that where it's cut out is actually where the green is on the disc, which is kind of cool. Give me 1 second, I'll turn it off. We'll go like this. Boop. There you go. That's what it looks like, you know, without any of the green screen stuff going on. That's pretty freaking awesome. I mean, if you put that, I mean, it's pretty close. I just don't have my glasses on. That's it. All right, so that's Noriaki. Mwah. This is going to be a prized possession for a long, long time. He also sent me. Oh snap! This is awesome. This is awesome, y'all. Wait till you see this. That's me with my Kangol hat on. That is awesome there. That is pretty awesome, I have to say. And then there's one in here of my wife. I can only assume it's upside down. Give me just a second. This is amazing. This dude is so talented. And I've got another one I'm going to show you guys from Bradly Bramlett, but I'm going to wait till he gets on the phone. Isn't she beautiful? I definitely married up the ladder. That's for sure, y'all. Definitely married up. That is for sure. Noriaki, these are amazing, man. They're going to be hung on my wall here in my bedroom with the other ones. All right, guys. So I am in here with the Zoom meeting. I am going to go ahead and join up with Ben Overbeek, and we will get him on the call, and we'll see what he's going got going on, what his thoughts are on with the grip team, and see what's going on with the Secret Santa. And we'll talk about Secret Santa as well, and make sure that we all know what's going on with the best one out there. All right, Ben, so I can get a little loop back on that audio. So before I join you into the podcast, if you want to just mute the actual. All right, so we're good there. All right, everybody, let me get this guy in here. Boop, his video is on, and boop, audio is on. What is up, brother? Your beard is looking awesome.
Hey, I can't see you. What do I need to do something on my end?
Nah, I'm actually gonna put. I'll see if I can get you over on a different camera here. I'm not gonna be able to show you the one that I'm using for the other feed. So you can hear me though, well, yeah.
I can hear you well. Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah. So when we're looking at this grip team thing, man, I didn't get a chance to talk to you yesterday, but you had a ton of questions. I tried to cycle through quite a few of them last night, but just wanted to, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the podcast from last night, but I did want to get your thoughts and see what your thoughts are now another day afterwards, and see if you feel differently than some of the questions you had out there.
Yeah, so I didn't watch the whole thing. I was able to watch maybe the first 20 minutes or so. Okay. I couldn't tell if I was having a connection problem or if it was your video last night. It got difficult to watch. It was you. It was you. So Vinny kind of tempered a little bit of my hardball questions with some of his comments. I liked the way that he was thinking about the yearly reapplication to keep things fresh and be able to kind of control the team a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's important.
But this is it's a huge shift compared to what you think of with professional disc golf companies considering their team. And we all love Vibram for doing things differently. I would think most of us have, some part of our love for Vibram is attached to them being unique as a disc golf company. And that comes with some great things. And that also means every once in a while we scratch our heads and go, wait, what are they thinking right now? And that's kind of my initial reaction right off the bat was, okay, how is this going to look and what is this going to act like? And one thing that keeps sticking in my head is it actually goes back to the first podcast we had with Jeff a while back, was when he just really reinforced the idea of we like to do things well. We like to narrow our focus, stop spreading ourselves thin, trying to do a bunch of different things and then watch the quality go down. Let's focus on the few things that we know really well, get that on track, and then build from there. And this, to me, seems like this big new stab in the dark in the new direction with a bunch of open-ended questions to me. I mean, we had the Vibram team, we had the street team, which, I mean, has been defunct in practice for years now. We had the tester team, which kind of stopped as soon as Vibram Birdie Bash World Championships came out. They kind of seemed to go nowhere after that. So I understand the need for consolidating or coming up with something new, but this complete revamp of something that I haven't seen tried by any other disc golf company seems to kind of go against that philosophy of let's do something we know how to do really well. It seems like we're branching out and trying a bunch of new things in the name of being new and fresh. And I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes, but there's a lot of unknowns in my mind.
Yeah, I think with what they had in the post yesterday, just with regard to, what you can receive, I think it's gonna be pretty clear. Well, I would imagine anyway. They got rid of Team Vibram, so obviously they weren't happy about Team Vibram for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is, but for whatever reason, it wasn't working. It wasn't generating business for the company. The ROI just wasn't there. Would be my guess. I'm just guessing, but that would be my guess. Because there's no other reason to squash it, right? I mean, because you've got some really decent players who have been on the team for quite some time. So it seems to me that there had to be an ROI thing. So with that being said, if the company can get this grip team going to where it does appear in a little bit of a way that it's a upfront, you show me what you're willing to do for the company and we'll give you some rewards. I mean, I would imagine you'll get some, a shirt that you're part of the team and maybe some stuff like that. But Um, the company's got to have some give. They've got to get something, right? They've got to get something in return. I mean, don't you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And when you look at it strictly from an ROI standpoint and think of the way businesses have to make decisions, as a business decision, what are we getting out of this and what are we giving into it? Um, to me, on the outside, like you said, it seems like Team Vibram was doing great. Then you had this really cool tour this year that must have given them some visibility that they hadn't had in previous years. He was out there with his Rubber Meets the Road tour. He was meeting people. He was posting stuff on Facebook more than I've seen any Vibram pros post. But like you said, ROI must not have been there for the way things were going.
But Vinny's one guy. Did you see a whole lot of the other pros that are on the team? Did you see a whole lot of them out and about and being active?
No, I see a little bit from Chase. He's a little bit more active with some more polished things on Facebook or social media in general. Chase will do some things.
Yeah.
We saw, at least in my opinion, we saw just as much publicity from regular old disc golf members, or maybe even some retailers that are active in the group, being just as involved in promoting Vibram as Vinny, the great touring pro. So you're right.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things to where if I understand how this team is going to work, it's truly ground floor, what have you, to get a little bit more of, like what I said last night, of a shotgun blast, right? You've got a ton of people out there in all of their local markets. They have a little bit of clout because they are literally part of the grip team, so it's not a BS thing to where they're trying to convince people that, hey, because that's what you're doing, is you're selling these people to say, come try Vibram, get away from the plastic, because it's real easy, I think, from what I've seen anyway on the course, just with the local folks, and I don't get out as much as I probably need to, but when you look at it, to see a guy who throws Innova pick up a dynamic disc or to try a legacy disc is like no big deal, right? Because it's just slightly different. Maybe the mold's different, but for the plastics, it's really close. Mm-hmm. Getting those dudes to pick up some rubber is going to be tough still, I think. I think that it's really going to be an educational thing. And, I think in that regard, if you're going to educate the masses, you have to do it with a wide shot, right?
Yep. I would agree with that. And one of the things that I love about what this grip team seems to be is very organic, very grassroots, very with the everyday player in mind, as opposed to a touring pro. Like the original post were saying, we're trying to meet, 95% of disc golfers, or 99.5% of disc golfers. We're not trying to put these guys up here on this pedestal and have you esteem to be like them. We're trying to get everyday guys that are throwing our rubber, that are loving it and trusting it. We're trying to get it out there. But at the same time, when you got something that grassroots and that basic and that far spread, I mean, that seems hard to manage and hard to understand, what it's going to look like for everyone. And I think that's what I saw yesterday in the podcast, or your podcast with Vinny. It's going to change from year to year. What it looks like is going to be flowing, and its target is kind of going to be moving, especially in these first couple of years. Oh, this is what we liked. Some of our grip team guys were doing this. We really liked that. So we're going to incentivize that somehow. Be more like these guys, post like they do on Facebook, or do live events like they're doing, or do events at the course like these guys are doing. So while I appreciate it's kind of small, nebulous, organic, kind of flowy, that's really cool. But that seems like you're opening a whole new can of worms, which goes back to my original point of, I mean, you've never done this before, Vibram, so you can't really say you're doing it well yet, because we're trying something brand spanking new.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it's going to take some time. Where I get concerned with it, honestly, is it seems like we've been in a lull for a little bit of time, right? I mean, we haven't really seen – I mean, we saw the new fairways come out, and then we got excited about the floats this past year and the crag this past year, but I would think that if you ask the masses, the crag was probably a flop from what we hoped for, right? I mean, I think that, I personally love it. I've got a couple aces with it already, but I think that what's that?
The same thing with the launch.
Yeah. So, so they had some things that may not have turned out as well as at least what it seems like on the outside. But yeah, I think that they can make some changes. I think with this whole thing, the more people you get out there, you've got guys that were on the phone last night. You had Bradley, you had Mark. They're great guys. And if you get guys like that that are out there pushing the brand, but they can say that they are truly part of Vibram's team, I think it changes the conversation a little bit. It at least allows them a little bit more comfortability that they can speak, I don't know, with some authority, so to speak,
Yep. Yeah, I would see that. And those are two great examples of guys that are pushing the brand with absolutely no official affiliation with Vibram at all. I think of a guy like Eric White in Ohio. He's been pushing the brand for a long time as kind of a organic, hey, check this sweet rubber out. He's been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, got on the tester team right as it kind of fizzled after Vibram Birdie Bash. So I think of guys like them that are already doing a great job of it. The only concern that I would see with that is being officially now tied to the group or tied to the brand as part of the team. You've got more restrictions, I would assume, some sort of contract or some sort of guidelines. And with the way that things have gone this past year with Team Vibram, with the touring pros, it seems like some of those restrictions were seen as kind of too much red tape. Team Vibram wasn't worth it because of the way that our restrictions were set upon us as pros. We couldn't sell as much online as we used to, or couldn't at all sell things online. Vibram wanted retailers to do that. So I love the Vibram love that has been shown by lots of these individual guys. I'm just hoping that doesn't get overshadowed by any type of stringent rules or contract, as this grip team would have to have some sort of a little bit of control over these masses of guys that are pushing the brand.
Yeah, it sounds like you have some of the concerns that I thought about last night as I was, reprocessing, and then I listened back to some of the podcasts that was bearable to listen to. The video was awful. What was so funny, just a little rabbit trail here, I didn't realize the audio was on point. It was just the video that was crap. And so It was just a hot mess. Anyway, tonight it looks like it's running smoothly on YouTube, so we appear good anyhow. But getting back to that, it was just one of those things where I was thinking about it last night, and it's like, man, it's going to be a nightmare to manage this thing. Like, there's going to be somebody, like, there's got to be a hierarchy. I mean, I asked Vinny about it a little bit, and I'm not sure, if everybody got the details there, but, there's got to be some sort of hierarchy system of people that can answer some questions, because otherwise, if you've got a team of, let's say that they get 50 people out there, you wouldn't do each state necessarily, I don't think, but, you have, a couple people in Charlotte, a couple people in North Carolina, South Carolina area, a couple people in Georgia, Florida area, a couple people in the New England area. You kind of do regions in that way so they can still cross paths within an hour or two of each other type deal. I think that's going to help, but good God, can you imagine getting phone calls from all those guys?
Yeah. And I don't know if, that seems unmanageable to me at that size. Yeah. When he was up here this summer, he didn't really divulge any secrets at all, but we talked back and forth about the team and what it's like being a pro and things like that. And he was mentioning, trying to throw out some sort of number of maybe 2 guys per region, whatever region. You think about a place like New England, you've got 5 or 6 states within hour driving distance of each other. You think of Texas, you've got a state with millions of people, and you could have 2 or 3 guys within a region, within a gigantic state like Texas. So there's got to be some sort of fair or equitable way of spreading the people out through a geographical area. But if you don't get 50, if you're down around 15 or 20, that's what we already had with Team Vibram. So start mixing up new people.
I understand where you're coming from, man, because then the thing is you've got to have those representatives out there have to answer questions in a way that's reasonable and makes sense, right? And they have to do it with confidence. So the training around this program has got to be legit. You can't just be like, oh, he loves Vibram, let him go represent our stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if it's like I said last night, if you have an idiot and you motivate him, you got a motivated idiot, right? So it doesn't do you any good. I love Vibram. I love Vibram. How do they make it? I don't know. It's just like, every other disc. You're screwed. Boom, sale done. And so that was one thing that I thought was a little concerning. In all honesty, was that how would you do that if a retailer has some really tough questions like, hey man, let's say I wanted to buy 150 launches next week because I have a kids tournament and it would be perfect for kids. Oh well, it's going to take us 4 months to get that many. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
when we heard from Jeff, he said it was 9 minutes per round of discs, right? So there's really some tough questions that still need to be answered for sure. But I think the excitement of being able to be part of the team is something that can certainly get a ball rolling. And if you get that ball rolling, whether it be a slow pace or a fast pace, as long as it has a consistent, steady move, I mean, a year or two from now, this could be pretty big, though, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's going to kind of shift gears of the conversation towards Birdie Bash, which is fine. I'd love to talk about that too.
Yeah.
But this whole team, to me, kind of seems like think about the 50, 100 Birdie Bash tournament directors we had. There's a
Yeah.
perfect group of guys that are motivated to spread the Vibram love, guys that
Yeah.
are willing to put on this mini little tournament and just get the brand out there. Now, the Birdie Bash format of old may be not sustainable at all based on the last couple of years where it's impossible to get people their disc selection, and just the format of things that were promised to a Birdie Bash player wasn't easy to fulfill by anyone because of other legitimate problems with Vibram being such a small part of Big Vibram. But right there, we already had a few years of momentum going with, all right, people have gone to Birdie Bash 2 or 3 years in a row. They love this event. They love picking their own discs. We've got guys in each city that are kind of the ambassador, these tournament directors that are not really, getting compensated. There might be get a few extra swag items because they're putting the tournament on and they get so many people. But right there, you had kind of what I think Vibram's trying to shoot for, a group of guys they're just regular Joes like all of us that throw discs, anywhere from 500 rated to 900 rated, nothing huge. And we're willing to do all this legwork and promotion, and that kind of fizzled out. And now to me, this seems like a new way of trying to find those guys again. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. 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 So,
On my side. All right, now we have audio on my side. Okay, thank you, Disc Bite. I had to turn off my audio earlier. If you didn't hear it, my dog started barking at me, so I had to fix that with my dog barking. So we got it taken care of. All right, so you guys, I fixed it. So give me 1 second. Let me take a note. Boop.
okay, so think about this. Here's my version of grow the sport. I'm not really super involved in my local disc golf scene. I maybe play 1, 2, 3, usually unsanctioned tournaments a year. I know a lot of guys in my area in Kalamazoo, but it's just not my thing. The way that disc golf is scheduled around here for the working man who works a 9 to 5 roughly, there's just not a lot of opportunity to get involved. A lot of tournaments on Sundays. I usually do church and family stuff on Sundays, but I run a disc golf club at school. I've gotten 100, probably 100 to 150 kids intimately introduced to disc golf in a really fun way at school. 4th and 5th graders that are developing a love for the sport at a super young age, getting involved in a really positive way. And I show them Vibram. I mean, they see my discs, they see my Vibram disc, and they're like, "Whoa, that's amazing!" Because it doesn't look like the DX Leopards and AVRs that we have as part of the club.
Right.
So when we do a little tournament at the end of the 6-week club, they get prizes as discs. If they hit an ace at any point, which happens every couple times a year, I buy them a brand new disc with my own money. Sometimes it's a Vibram disc because I've talked them into, the sweet color, or I show them something really floppy and grippy and they think that's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm just getting kids into the sport. I'm not pushing a brand on these 4th and 5th grade kids. So that's kind of my niche way of growing the sport in my area. I'm really involved with this super local small youth scene in Portage, which is sister city of Kalamazoo. But I'm not necessarily even interested in applying for this grip team job because I don't feel like I'm doing the work that Vibram wants. I'm pushing disc golf to these kids. I'm introducing them to Vibram. And a lot of the guys that I know in the local area, they know me as the Vibram guy, but I'm not pushing and preaching like I think the brand deserves.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm going to apply for this.
Yeah, no, that's fair, man. And you're not the only person that's told me that. I mean, I was messaging with some other folks today that, I felt like, in messaging with them, I felt like they should apply. But they messaged back and said they just didn't think that it made sense because they just really weren't going to expose the brand all that much. As much love as they have for the brand, and it's clear to see that in the group, they just don't feel like for them it's a good fit because I think it's one of those things to where if we don't really know what the level, that bar is to measure if you're being successful or not, yet, right? I mean, it may come out to where, when they truly roll out all the details, it may be really exciting, and
yeah.
So it's tough to say, but let's do this, man. Let's, they talk about Birdie Bash, and I think that, the Birdie Bash format was a lot of fun. For me, when I ran mine here locally, everybody loved it. Matter of fact, because of mine that got ran, the following year I didn't run one because I knew that I saw they were having so many nightmares and I didn't want to mess with that. And so I just kind of let it go and didn't run one the second year. But 2 other guys in this area ran them. And so because they played mine the previous year, so it ended up being really cool in that regard. But I would guess that Birdie Bash isn't coming back in the original form. I would imagine we're probably going to have something that will be, like you were kind of saying earlier, just kind of flowy and just, I would guess it's going to be less restrictive. But, because you got an ace race already, so you can't really do that. I can't remember. I think one of the brands is doing a par 2 as well. So, it's one of those things where you have those 2 concepts captured. So, it'll be interesting to see what they come out with as a concept that will make it exciting and different in the marketplace.
Yep. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but think about Birdie Bash this way. It was successful in its form for a few years. Then it started to be unsuccessful because of how big it got, and the fulfillment was impossible to give everyone 2 discs down to the 3-gram range of what they wanted. That was just impossible to fulfill. Yeah. So that's a perfect example of take what is working well, tweak it because of this negative feedback we're getting, or this valuable feedback we're getting, and change it and keep it working. Don't start the whole thing over again. So here's a little tough love for Vibram and for Jeff, and no harsh feelings at all, but Birdie Bash was working great. You had a clear set definition of, look, tournament director, this is what you need to do. This is what you're going to get out of it. Here's the prices. Here's what you can tell your players. And it was very direct and easy for a tournament director to put on. I mean, it's the easiest type of tournament to run the way that Vibram was doing it. So that was something that was working really, really well. It just needed to be tweaked a little bit. And I mean, maybe it was the timeline of when Steve got involved with the Pro Tour and just the whole transition over the last couple of years, but that was working well with a few snafus. It didn't need this complete overhaul. And now we haven't had any Vibram events run by all these willing TDs across the country for 2 years now.
Right. Yeah, that's true, man. And the thing is those guys that were looking for it, they were literally looking for it. Like we were really, really wanting it last year because, it had momentum. It's like that snowball we were talking about earlier. It had momentum, and you could see it because I had people that remembered me running the tournament, and I'm really good with faces, but I suck with names. And so I would see them out there. I'm like, I know that they were in my tournament. They come up, dude, your tournament was the best. Now, granted, we made it a party. We grilled burgers, and nobody paid for anything. We had limitless drinks, and we were out there videotaping everybody, all that type stuff. And, I think it's interesting, that they decided to not do it again. But can you imagine the nightmare, to your point, of the 3 gram range of, it's going to be kind of tough, man. I mean, that's got to be a pain in the neck to fulfill that every day.
Yeah, with not having millions of discs on hand to select from.
Yeah,
I've got such a small inventory or a limited inventory in some molds. I mean, I just met Sean with Green Light this past weekend when we were up there doing our bucket list tour of Maple and New England disc golf. And Sean was, Green Light Disc Golf was the one that was fulfilling that. We didn't talk about Birdie Bash, but he's just a regular old disc shop. He's an awesome guy. He's got an awesome shop going, but man, that must have been an insane amount of work for him to get that done. So, and once again, Birdie Bash was an easy thing for me to run, and it was a great way for me to get my students that had played in disc golf club at school to come to a really fun tournament,
Yeah.
For a 4th or 5th grade kid to say, hey, sign up for this tournament. And it's a bunch of disc golfers that are 40, 50 years old, and half of them are smoking weed and some of them are smoking cigarettes. And that's not the kind of environment I'm trying to get these kids involved in disc golf. I want them to love the sport and bring a new positive face to the sport and not necessarily fill all the stereotypes of all of us disc golfers that have been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
Birdie
that's fair.
Perfect. We could have these short little holes. These kids didn't get demoralized throwing 6 or 7 shots on a hole. It was awesome. So I even had students that were bummed when I didn't get to run the 3rd Birdie Bash. They're like, oh, Mr. Overbeek, I was so looking forward to that tournament. And couldn't happen because it got nixed.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, let's talk about some exciting stuff that's coming up, man. Because you're doing a ton of stuff for Vibram and just keeping it real in some of the other groups that you're admin of. And then, I know that you took over. Brian Duran did a great job the past couple of years and has taken a step back for the Secret Santa, and you're stepping in and doing the Secret Santa this year. So why don't you tell everybody kind of how they get involved in Secret Santa with the Vibram world?
Secret Santa this year is much the same as it has been run successfully last year. We're kind of taking our own advice here. We're taking a great thing and just tweaking it a little bit. Yep. So there's a post in the Vibram Disc Golf Collectors group that I should probably bump more often or bring a little bit more exposure to. But with that being said, we have 43 people signed up so far. Nice. So I'm thinking that's approaching the levels that we've had in the past of participation, and we've still got let's see, 1, 2, 2.5, 3 weeks to sign up. Sign up deadline is November 25th.
Yeah.
So you click that link in the group, and in order to be part of the group, I believe you have to enter your address and your name. And that's all that's really required to participate. As long as you're giving us the information we need and you're committing to following the rules, we'd love to have a big old swap. I'm using Elfster, which is on recommendation from Michael Sparrow. No. Yeah, Michael Sparrow, I think, is the one that I think he's the guy that recommended it to me. Anyway, it seems to be working great. It seems like it's going to be a real easy way, a little less work on the coordinating end, which is something I was looking for because Brian said that took a lot of time, and I can imagine the way that or the amount of people that participated and the amount of work he did was just not what anyone needs in one of the busiest times of the year. So I think using this site is going to kind of take away some of the time that's involved by the coordinator, and it should run really well. So it's not really any different than the last couple of years. Send a disc and a swag item. You can post some things that you enjoy, hobbies and stuff like that, because a lot of our guys love to customize their gift for their Secret Santa, which is a really cool thing. So it seems like it's going to run well. We've got November 25th as the deadline to sign up. And then that site automatically does the name draw the day after. And I'm assuming we'll send you your Secret Santa's information. And then we've got a whole month before Christmas to get it done. So if people have more specific questions about, what does my recipient want, or what are some of their things that they enjoy doing, I can help facilitate that conversation. We've got several weeks to get that done. I've also had several awesome people approach me from the group wishing to rename nameless, that are willing to help people find specific discs for their recipient, or willing to just help out on the giving end. They don't want recognition in true Santa form. They are just looking to help give and help you as a Secret Santa participant find a great gift for you as the participant to find a great gift for your recipient.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If you need any help, I'm the guy to talk to. I can hook you up with someone that can help you, or I can give you suggestions, or I can talk to your recipient directly, anonymously, so you can get the information you need to participate.
Sounds good, man. All right, so those of you out there, Ben told you, go join Vibram Disc Golf Collectors Group if you're not in the group already, which most of you are watching are probably in the group already. Find the Secret Santa post, which he, as soon as he disconnects here, is going to go in there and bump for you to find. Go ahead and get signed up, and let's make sure that we make this another great event. Ben, I appreciate you joining me tonight, man. You got any final words?
If you have not played Maple Hill Disc Golf, go make it a priority. My goodness, we were blown away. I went with my brother-in-law, Caleb, who's also part of the group. He's my wife's older half-brother. We disc all the time together here in town, but we were just like, dude, we've got a weekend. We've got like 2.5 days, because I had a half day at school on Friday. We zipped out there. We stayed with Andrew Streeter and his sons, Sammy and Benny, and wife, Amy. It was a great time. Not only did we love playing Maple Hill, which just kicked our butts and was a blast to play, we got to meet a ton of awesome New England disc golfers. And their version of disc golf, with the way that they take care of their courses, their clubs that they have, the community they have, was really impressive to Caleb and I. We're used to this Midwest, maybe Great Lakes, Southwest Michigan area. That's our region for disc golf. We love it here. But we were impressed with their sense of community, the friendliness, the welcoming group of people in New England, Vibram throwers and non-Vibram throwers alike.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was just really cool. The hospitality was through the roof. The quality of the courses was amazing. So get out to New England, go play disc golf. And if you're in that area at all, we were a 14-hour drive. If you're within 14 hours, get up to Maple Hill and play the best course in the world. And it also helped that it was peak fall color season in New England when we were up there too. We were driving through the night both ways, so we didn't get to see anything in New York or Pennsylvania on the way through. But while we were playing there, man, the views were gorgeous and incredible.
That's awesome, man. I haven't been up there, but it is on my bucket list, and hopefully I'll be able to make it here in the next year or two. I appreciate it again, man. We're definitely going to stay in touch with you. We'll hook back up with you and get your thoughts next week. We'll do kind of a follow-up. I want to try to get everybody that joined me this week follow up next week after I talk to Jeff and kind of get their thoughts after hearing what Jeff's got to say. So thanks,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Thanks for joining us. Hopefully you can stay tuned in. We've got Bradley and Michael from Disc Bite is going to join me next. I'm going to talk to Michael from Disc Bite, and he's going to talk about the Frozen Toad Open a little bit.
I'm going to Google Chromecast you up onto my 55-inch flat screen, sit on my couch, and watch some dudes talk about Vibram. I'm ready for it.
Let's do it, man. All right, bro. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks. All right, guys. So we are going to give me just 1 minute here, and I will get this hooked up with Michael. He is sitting and waiting patiently, and he wants to talk about his tournament. He's got an awesome tournament that he is running, and he has got the disc showing on the screen now. So, we'll go ahead and get this guy tuned in here. So, Michael, I am adding you into the podcast now, so everybody should be able to see you and hear you, sir. How are you this evening?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, man. All right. So you're a retailer for Vibram. You are crazy active in the group. We love everything that you're doing in the group, and you saw this grip team get announced yesterday, and or not yesterday, yeah, yesterday. So I'm curious from a retailer's point of view, what your perspective is on that. So I would like to talk to you about that tonight, but we also want to talk about the Frozen Toad Open. So let's start there with what's most important, and talk about this tournament that you're doing, and kind of the story behind it.
Well, the Frozen Toad Open is a B tier. It's 1 day, 2 rounds in, I would say, two of the better courses in the area. I really wanted to do something. Just, GBO is in Kansas. Piney Woods is in Texas. There's nothing in Oklahoma. So my goal was basically just to, create a tournament where people could show up. They get to kind of experience a lot of these brands you don't see. A lot of people around us, specifically, most of the disc golfers are throwing Trilogy or they're throwing Innova, and I mean that's pretty much it. You don't see Gateway, you don't see any of these other brands out there. Definitely not Vibram. Um, I think on the map there's only two of us that are actually on the map. But basically, I just wanted to make a tournament where you could show up that 1 day and get just this awesome, players pack, some stuff you don't see everywhere. Then that's pretty much it. That was my goal, and from there, I'm just going to grow it, and someday it'll be kind of like the Oklahoma Glass Blown Open.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's my goal.
There you go, man. That's awesome. So, what you mentioned is two of the better courses in the area. Why don't you tell everybody the exact area you're in, and what the name of those courses is?
Sure. I live in Moore, Oklahoma, which is about 10 or 15 minutes from Norman.
Okay.
So there's 3 courses in Norman, and that's it. So, beyond that, I think we have 3 or 4 courses in Oklahoma City. 1 course in a very small town called Noble that is pretty difficult. But the courses in Norman, luckily, they worked out to where they're basically across the street from each other, which is great. It really makes it very easy to run the tournament I run and have 1 round at one course and 1 round at the next.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So, what was the name of the first course that you guys are playing in the morning?
Last year we played Northeast Lions.
Okay.
Um,
Is that where you're going to be this year coming up too?
I haven't completely decided how I want to do it. Last year I did Northeast Lions and then Griffin.
Okay.
I may do that same thing again. I may swap it up. It really depends on the weather.
Sure.
Some of the weather last year, it was basically raining probably 90% of the time.
Okay.
So it was it was definitely a Frozen Toad Open.
Yeah, the rain is always crazy, especially if it's in the cold weather, where it's almost sleeting, right? So when you've got this tournament lined up, talk about these courses, man. I'm not familiar with Northeast Lions and Griffin. What kind of courses are these? Are these wooded or open courses, and are they professional level courses?
Well, we've had Paul Macbeth at the Norman Pro-Am before.
Okay.
He played Northeast Lions. He played Griffin, and then they played, I think, Noble. They did not play Colonial, which is the I would say the lesser of the 3 courses in Norman. Colonial is probably running next to like an apartment complex. It's just kind of going through a park. It's not as wooded, but I would say the 2 courses, Northeast Lions goes in and out of the woods. There's some long holes and some very technical holes. Griffin is probably my favorite. It can make it very challenging.
All right. So you've got it sounds like courses that probably feed into the guys that have got some bigger arms, huh?
Yeah. I would say, yeah, you definitely want an arm, but you really want to be able to throw at least straight if you can't throw anything else. There are definitely some challenges and some technical shots you need.
Okay, awesome, man. So when you had your tournament last year, what was the count of folks that you had last year, and what are you hoping for this year?
I ended up with 50 AMs last year and 5 pros. And between the 5 pros, I basically sent them home with $835, which is, I would say, is pretty good for me.
Yeah, that's nice,
For
man.
my tournament, I only had a few sponsors. I did most of it myself. I didn't have any volunteers. That's going to change to this year.
Yeah, that's tough without any volunteers. Did you have to do anything with, did you do, CTPs and that sort of thing on those holes?
I had CTPs. We actually had throw offs after the tournament, and then I wanted to do a Ring of Fire. I ran out of time. Um, there was definitely an ace pot, and there was a throw off for that.
Nice, man. Nice. So it sounds like you had a lot of exciting things going on for a single dude running this tournament.
Yeah,
So
it was. I think it was a little more than I could deal with that year. I think I did pretty good, being just myself. But I definitely want to make this year. I've got some people lined up to volunteer, count scores. I've got a lot more stuff in place. I plan on getting started on time. I was a little bit later. I think I was about 15 minutes late last year. And with it getting dark so early in December, it really that's what killed us. It just got dark, and there wasn't
yeah,
any anything you could do. There's some light, but that's about it.
sure, makes sense. So this tournament, what's the date and how do they get signed up, man?
Well, the date is December 9th. Last year it was December 3rd. I pushed it back a week actually because last year I did it on what's OU and OSU Bedlam, and
Yeah,
a
you
lot of people
can't
were
do
like,
that
"Man, I
over there,
wanted to
man.
go, but you did it on the wrong day." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm pushing it back a week then."
All right, so
So you
December
can,
9th?
yep, December 9th.
Okay.
It's in Norman, Oklahoma. You can actually sign up on Disc Golf Scene.
Okay. All right, good deal. And then just look for the Frozen Toad Open, and that's the
That's
way to
right.
find it there. All right,
Yep,
cool,
yep.
man.
And actually, if you are interested in being a disc sponsor, if you'll contact me, I will get you set up. I actually, just before I got on here, I got an email from Vibram. They shipped all the discs. So they'll be
Awesome.
here probably Monday or Tuesday of next week.
Okay. So how's that work as far as a disc sponsor is concerned? How does that work with you?
Well, I ordered extra
Okay.
over the amount I'm going to need for players packs and payout.
Okay.
So I'm basically disc sponsors kind of get the first grabs at all of the discs I've ordered for payout and players packs.
Awesome.
So they kind of get whatever I get in. That's their options. And so I've got a big spreadsheet up of all of the discs I've ordered. I've actually I got to kind of pick through their current inventory and get a good selection of weights. I've got them both in medium and firm, multiple colors, as you've seen with that one disc I got a picture of.
Yeah, it was nice.
So yeah, 25 bucks. That's all it takes, and you get to be a part of the tournament.
Awesome, man. So those of you out there listening, $25, you get one of the discs that's pictured right over here, and Michael will be able to keep running this tournament, which just sounds like, man, 55 people for the first year. That's a great way to get out the gate, and hopefully you can keep that momentum this year.
Yeah,
So
I'm trying to double it this year. I'm trying to max it out at 90. Last year when I started out, I shot for the stars, I mean, that's what you do, right?
yep, hell
And,
yeah.
and so I said, well, if I run the 2 courses, if I run it as a B, C tier, since I'm the certified TD, I only have to be on 1 course at a time, the B tier side, right?
Okay,
So I
nice.
thought, okay, man, I'll run both courses at the same time, and I'll do 180 people. that
Whoa.
that was a little more.
Yeah.
So I cut it back this year. I was like, I'm not going to just shoot for 180. Let's shoot for 90. And I think this year I will probably stick to 90. I like that size. It's something I can manage.
Good, man. So you get 90 folks, and you split it up. You've got a right hand man that'll be able to cover the other course for you then.
Well, this year, since it's just 90, I'm just going to do it. Everybody's going to be at the same course. And
Okay,
then,
cool.
the second round they'll be at the other course. And so
Perfect.
I'll just move all my stuff.
Yeah, awesome. That'll be great. So let's circle back to where, we had a little lull these past couple months in the Vibram world, right? And we had some excitement this past summer with a little bit of float action. And then we saw some excitement a couple of weeks back, well, not even, maybe a week ago now, with the float minis. And then we get the announcement yesterday of the grip team, which I think on the surface sounds like a lot of fun for a lot of people, but I'm curious from a retailer standpoint, where is your head when you see something like this? Does this excite you? Does this concern you? And just overall, where does this put you as far as your motivation for Vibram right now?
I was actually talking to Chase about this earlier, and I'm not really sure where retailers fit into the grip program. I think it's cool that they decided to shuffle up the team a little bit. I definitely can understand where they're coming from. I'm actually looking at trying to launch Team Disc Bite in early January 2018.
Awesome. Good plug. I love it.
So thanks. So, I totally understand shuffling it up a little bit. I'm not really sure where retailers fit into the whole thing. I'm not too worried about it. Vibram has been pretty good about taking care of me. I'm really interested in how everything kind of shakes out, but I'm not really sure as a retailer, should I apply for it? Should I not? I mean, I don't want to take a spot from somebody who may not have the access I have to the product. You know what I mean? Like I can order pretty much whatever I want. I can, it's here a week later. I'm not too worried about it,
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'd hate to take that from somebody else who doesn't have that option, or maybe doesn't have a local retailer that wants to grow the brand. But at the same time, I get to touch a lot of discs of a lot of different brands. I've got to say, I'm not even sure if I should apply to it because I don't throw a whole Vibram bag.
Right.
I love them. I definitely do. They're great discs. They're very consistent. But it's hard for me to know where I'm supposed to be at with that. I know that there's guys that have thrown it since day one, and I applaud them for that. But at the same time, if you're talking to somebody who's thrown Innova from day one, or is just throws their team trilogy, right? How do you talk to those people if you don't know how their discs fly or what they're about? So I don't know exactly what Vibram's looking for. Are they looking for the guy who is 100%, he bleeds Vibram? Or are they looking for the guy who knows, oh, well, this disc flies like this disc, or, like a Valley is like a T-Bird or whatever. That's that's not right, probably, but
Right.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I mean, if you could say, well, okay, the flight numbers of an alpha match an arch, right? A mint disc alpha. Well, that doesn't mean they fly the same way. I mean, they're different. They're definitely different substances. So
yeah,
I
feel
think
way
that,
different. They release
yeah.
different. Everybody's
Yeah.
got different squeeze on them. Yeah. No, I hear you, man. It definitely makes it from a retailer standpoint, especially the fact that you're a retailer that's selling all kinds of different brands. I would think that the grip team, probably would be something I would probably sit back and watch and see what would happen for a year or so. But
Yeah, and I'm definitely interested. I mean, I want to know what's going on, and I'd love to see how it takes shape because I think it's a really cool idea.
So if you find out that this team is set up to purposely help the retailers grow their business. So let's say this is where my thoughts were when I started, when I've been processing all the different ways. Vibram has a history of coming out with just a little bit, right? Just enough to give you a taste. You're like, ooh, that tastes good, but you don't really get enough, right? So
they move a little slow.
yeah, they're doing the same thing here, right? But it's one of those things to where I kind of think it would be awesome, especially with retailers that already exist, if they had one or two, grip team guys that were within driving distance of you. So anytime you had an event, or anytime you were having an open house or doing whatever the heck it is retailers do to keep things exciting in their world, these guys are there as your right hand man to say, hey, this dude is legit and he's going to continue to take care of you. I think if they can put a layer like that into it, it could be super exciting for the retailers.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, it'd be cool to be able to know, like send me a roster of the team, right? And okay, then I can take care of those guys, right?
Yep.
Hey, I see you're on the grip team. You know, here's my contact information. Here's, I'm a certified TD. I do this, this, and this. This is kind of what I carry. If you want to throw some people my way, I'll throw some discs your way or something like that. That'd be great to have that network.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so many positive things. I'm trying to not think about the negatives, but we've had some hiccups with Vibram over the past year or so, right? I think to what Benjamin said earlier, with Steve starting to focus on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I mean, we know he was juggling both things. We're not stupid. He was doing both things at the same time. And so, if you're not, it's kind of one of those things, if it's all in one, you can't be all things. You have to be one thing really good if you truly want to be good at it. And so with this grip team, I think that if they can get it focused to where they don't try to overcomplicate it, it could be really strong. But if they try to overcomplicate it, it could be a mess. I'm curious. Let's say there's some layers, right? Let's say they've got 10 guys that do nothing but the social media stuff, 10 guys that go out and they represent the retailers in the area, and then they start intermixing it that way. I mean, there could be some exciting things. I think the curious thing is how they keep the retailers excited.
Yeah.
But I think that Vibram has made it very clear. And when we talked to Jeff Laney the first time, he was very adamant in telling us that the retailers are what matters. They're going to be the ones that are going to eventually stock 20 discs and then stock 50 discs. And then, hey, man, these 50 are rotating pretty quickly. Let me go ahead and give you a little bit extra shelf on this. And makes a difference, right? Especially if you have a storefront. I mean,
Yeah.
even for holding inventory for a retail website, it's still, you've got it out there. It makes it one of those things to where we've got to keep everybody excited. So if you could have the perfect grip team interaction with incorporating some love for the retailers, how does that picture look for you?
I mean, it could be a couple of different ways. I'll give you one example. Say you've got a guy that's probably high intermediate or advanced, maybe even a professional disc golfer. Have one of those guys dedicated, like, okay, anytime you run a tournament that's going to be sponsored by Vibram, we're going to make sure, that you got this guy coming out. I'll cut him a deal on the tournament entry, or if Vibram will sponsor it, that's fine. Give me the option to run a clinic, right? If I'm running a 1-day B tier, give me the option to go, hey, on Saturday, we're going to do a clinic for half a day. Give me an option.
Yeah, I hear that, man. So when you're looking at, those options that are out there, and you're saying, how cool would it be though if you could pull up a roster, and say that these 10 guys are within a 3-hour drive of what I want to do, and you could hit them up and say, hey guys, in 2 months, I want to blow this thing out. Like, I just want it to be balls crazy, and you guys can play the tournament, not play the tournament, I don't care. But everybody from Grip Team shows up, and anybody who shows up with plastic is going to walk away with rubber. You know what I'm saying? I think that could be really huge, man. And if it's one of those things where if Jeff incentivizes folks for doing that, so let's say the retailer has a sponsored event, and then you've got somebody that okay, so you got a sponsored event. For every sponsored event that a retailer does, a Vibram retailer does, that you go and volunteer for that event, you get a disc or something, or you get $10 credit towards the store or something like that. There again, this thing could really snowball and really blow out the community for disc golf, I think.
You got a lot of options out there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that could be on the table, but until they tell us no or yes, we just don't know.
I hear you.
One of the things I would like to see come back, I mean, take away all the swag. I know that the birdie bashes were. I know you guys were talking about this earlier. The birdie bashes were, expensive and they just didn't work out, right? Just give me the 2 discs, right? Just those 2. Make it, charge it whatever you need, but give me that back, because that was awesome. I really enjoyed it. That's how I got started running tournaments. There was a lot of people that came out to those because they were like, I don't know about anything about Vibram. I'm not going to spend money on something I don't know about. I'm not going to buy it. So to put that in somebody's hands and say, well, you can come out and win this sweet pair of socks. I think that was cool, man. And I really miss that.
Yeah, I hear you. It was just silly enough, right?
Yeah.
Just silly enough to where it made it exciting for folks. And you know what? It's funny because my wife and I were just talking yesterday about, I told her, I said, babe, I said, all the crazies out there that, wear that one yellow and black shirt that was nothing but the logos all over it, and wear the socks and sport that thing. Dude, that shirt was crazy. It would leave the Vibram logos on your skin if you sweat too much.
Yeah.
That shirt was dedication. So,
well, yeah, and I gotta say, when I was down at Piney Woods a couple of weeks ago, wearing my Vibram Strong shirt, I had the Vibram socks on. You didn't see them in the picture I posted up, but I had them on, man. Those are great socks.
Yeah, they really are, and people talk about them. They're good conversation piece. Oh, dude, those are sweet socks.
They're so bright, man.
They really are. And you know what? They're not. I've got fat calves, so they're not too restrictive on my fat legs too. So that's why I like them.
I'm the same way.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'll tell you what, man. I really appreciate you joining me tonight and coming out and talking about disc bite in general. I know that I've been pestering you about it a little bit for a while here, and discbite.com is your website, but you do so much in the group. Just PM you on Facebook too, right? Just hit you up.
Oh
there.
Yeah, I'm always down. I'll talk to you about. I'll talk to your ears fall off, man. It's that's how it is.
I hear you.
But I enjoy talking about disc golf. It's definitely my passion. I do as much traveling and tournaments and just working at my own skill level that is pretty terrible. That I'm down to talk to anybody. Let's talk about discs. I'll talk about Vibram discs. I'll tell you my experiences with them. What got me started and where I'm at, and everybody's got a story.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm planning. Now that we've got some new news and some exciting things to keep this rolling, I want to try to get folks that are excited about grip, on and have them talk about it, and especially after we get some more details and see where everybody's head's at. But I want to start going through some of the molds, man, and just start educating people, talking about the molds, talking about what other molds are out there that if I pick up a VP, we can say, hey, you guys out there that love love a rhino or love a pig, here's something that you can look at and start having some of those conversations. So with your experience, if it's cool, man, I'll definitely reach out to you, and we're going to do kind of a roundtable discussion on that, and we'll get you involved.
Sure, yeah, I would definitely be interested. I was actually looking. I'm going to get this disc real quick if I can.
Yeah, you're good.
So this was actually my first Vibram disc, and it's a VP. And so when you said that, I was like, I still got this, man.
That's awesome.
And it feels great still.
Yep.
And that came from a birdie bash.
Yeah, that's badass. That's great. That came from the birdie bash, man. The first birdie bash I did, I got 2 medium discs, and I ended up hating the medium, so I ended up eventually getting rid of them. But yeah, we'll hopefully get there again, man. We'll get there again. But let's let's stay in touch. I know that you've done some giveaways and such in the group, and so I'm probably going to start pestering you about one of those for maybe Thanksgiving time. We'll do something thankful for the group, and I'm going to try to get a couple other retailers involved in that and try to do a cool event and do a giveaway night is what I'm hoping to do. You're hearing it here first. You were first to know. So it's something I've got on my idea sheet here, and I think it would be a good time. So if you're cool with that, I'll stay in touch with you on it, man.
I'm definitely cool with that. I'm always cool with that.
All right, good deal. So guys out there, December 9th, the Norman, Oklahoma courses. We've got Northeast Lions, Griffin. Not quite sure the layouts, but that's what we're rolling with. DiscGolfScene.com. Look it up. The Frozen Toad Open. Go hit up Michael on discbite.com, or you can hit him up on Facebook. Are you on Instagram and all that other stuff too?
I'm on Twitter, but not Instagram.
Okay.
I'm
an
IT background,
Twitter,
so I usually don't do social media, but I had to, so.
I hear that, man. If you want to pick him up on Twitter, go find him on Twitter. I'm not sure what he's at. Are you at Discbite on Twitter too?
At Discbite, that's it.
There you go. So check him out.
I'm the only one. I'm the only Discbite.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, before I let you go, actually, where did that name come from? How come you went with Discbite? How does that come into play?
I honestly was just, it took me forever to think of names because I'm, once I decide on something, it's got to be something I can say, something I want to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just thought about it for a while and I was like, man, I was just thinking of, an ultimate Frisbee, you always see the guy throwing a dog catching this Frisbee up in the air, and I was thinking, man, that'd be cool. Like a dog, like grabbing a disc in midair. And then I came up with Disc Bite and, then I was like, well, how do I make this logo? Cause it was just me,
Yeah. Yeah. And the shark came into play with the bite, huh?
That's right. Yeah. I was like, what else
man.
bites? The shark, man. And,
yeah.
And so I thought about it, and I was like, I used to have a friend that played pool, and he would shark people, and so I thought about it, and I was like, that's kind of ironic.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's great, man. Good story on the name. I was curious because it's definitely not something that you would typically put together with disc golf, but I love the story, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, my first slogan was actually "Throw with teeth."
That's nice, man. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Do that as a tournament, right? That could be a special event.
Yeah, there you go. That's an XC tier for you.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks again, Michael, for joining us, man. I'm going to go ahead and I've got a giveaway coming up that I'm going to do, and then we've got Bradly Bramlett coming on, so I hope that you'll stay tuned in and hear what he's got to say, because we got a little bit technologically screwed up last night, so we're going to try to do it again tonight.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if he turns into a robot tonight. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, brother. I appreciate you joining me, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right, guys. So we've got Michael from Discbite. He's a great dude. I've known him for a little while now, and met him at the Birdie Bash Worlds and had a great time with him. And one of my favorite people out there, I just like saying his name, Mike May. Yeah, Mike May was the man. He is actually the photo on Discbite's shirt that I got from Discbite not long ago. So I just made a comment there of giveaway coming up. So here's the way this giveaway is going to work. I have got a deck of cards, and then I've got a scorecard, and you have to ignore the green screen goofiness going on there as soon as I pulled those up. But ultimately, we've got these scorecards. Okay, so the way that these scorecards are set up, this one's a PVC. All right, it's got the scorecard on the back, and it's erasable, so you can use pencil and then erase it. This one is more of a commemorative piece, I would say. You can use it, but if it gets wet, it's pretty much gone. And then the thing is too about it is that it's a little bit blurrier and that sort of thing, but this will work. If you're in a bind and need a scorecard, this will work. So somebody's going to get this set, and then also going to get, which these should be collectible someday, because you got Birdie Bash World Championships, and as we know, this was the one and only Birdie Bash World Championships that ever existed. So with that being said, the way that this is going to work is you guys out there that are on YouTube, let's see if we can get a share on this post and comment in the post that you're out there. If you can get out there and share it, and then just comment in the post that you shared, just type shared, and let people know that you're loving on some Vibram. And out of one of the people that shares, if nobody shares, then we'll figure out another way to do a giveaway. But if you give a share and then comment in the post here, I'll go ahead and collect those names, and we will get somebody at the end of the show here a deck of cards and a scorecard. All right, so Bradly Bramlett is out there. He's been waiting patiently. I'm sure that he's been tuning in on the other line, and so I am going to join in with him and get him started. So he is on there. He's out on the road and hanging out with some of his buddies. So we've got him here. He's dancing. We're getting him started, and audio is joined. Uh-oh, Mr. Robot Bradly Bramlett. Oh.
How do you read this unit, Todd Kepler?
You sound awesome tonight, man. You sound loud
Excellent,
and clear.
really good.
Yeah, we can see you well. So you guys have been throwing some rubber out there. Tell everybody where you're at. What were you guys doing today?
Okay, so first of all, we are here with the Texas Rubberheads, which is a group that we started with about 10 guys, all Vibram guys, all bags out of rubber. We have a group. We got mini clubs, and we got the youngest member, Gage Cantrell, but he's not out here with us because it's a big boys weekend. But we're at Sailor Ranch Disc Golf out in East Texas. Two world-class courses, man.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. So is that a pay-for-play environment then?
It's a pay-for-play environment, but a well-rewarded environment.
Okay, awesome, man. That's great. That's great. So, what type of course is it? Is it open or wooded? I'm not familiar with it.
It is a combination of both with water. Man, I tell you what, it's world class. If anybody who's ever played Sailor Ranch, you know about the doubles tournaments and Texas teams on Disc Golf Course Review. It's one of the top 10 rated courses, I think.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
so
and brutal.
Before we dig into Grip Team, I want to show everybody the love. Oh, you're good, man. You can show. I want to show everybody the love that you sent over to me. So I told the story briefly last night, but it was real choppy. But Bradly sent this to me, y'all, out of nowhere. It just popped in the mail one day, and it's just kind of a funky little spiraled awesomeness. But as you shift it, I'm trying to put it on the camera, you get different colors on it. It's really sweet. So I appreciate you sending that, man. You've been sending that love out to everybody. And so when this announcement came out yesterday and was talking about, Grip Team, your name was one of the first ones that I personally thought of, just because I see you out there doing some awesome things for Vibram Disc Golf. And so let's talk about, you heard what Ben said earlier. He had some tough love out there, but how are you feeling about what's going on with this?
I feel like it's gonna definitely have some type of needed change that Vibram, the company, has to approach and have to consider. I think if they want to spread definitely the disc golf sport, the product, they're going to have to kind of take a step back and maybe look at different type of options. And I think really getting the information and really listening to the feedback of a lot of the players out there, not necessarily pro players, but a lot of just the masses of disc golf players. I think that getting their feedback and getting that product into their hands is really important. And I think that's something that they're trying to do. And I think the Grip Team has the potential to be that. But I think it's starting out. It's something new, so it's going to be a little bit of kinks. Yeah. But I think with, if you got the fortitude, I think we can work it out. I think it can really grow and be a lot bigger than what it's visioning right now. I mean, I see some serious potential.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I think it's one of those things to where it'll take some time for people to get used to it. I think it'll take some time for folks to, see what Grip Team is and start to understand what Grip Team is. But I really think that if we do what we talk, what I was talking with Michael, to where you get a handful of grip team guys start showing up to events and helping these retailers out, and just overall, trying to support each other, it could really make a difference. You show up to a weekly event, your weekly singles or something, right? And maybe there's 25 people there, but 4 of them are the grip team because they all said, hey, you know what? One day a month, we're all going to go hit up a weekly, and that day you end up pulling 2-3 people into the Vibram Love. I think it's very possible, if not likely.
Yeah, I've seen it directly resulted in the weekly minis that most of our guys that are rubberheads that go on and play tons of minis throughout DFW and all
What's
the
up,
different
Mark?
courses. Hey, yeah, Mark's here. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, we're all here, dude. We're rocking. We're rocking.
You guys are. That is awesome. That is awesome. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you popped in. I had to show some love. He's dancing behind you. That's awesome, man. You guys are having a great time. That's great. See, this is what it's about, though, man. See, so the only difference, the only thing that's missing is that title, right? That title to say, hey, grip team, huh?
Well, I guess there's some type of acknowledgement that Vibram may need to take a look at, especially if they want to have some type of official grip team title. What that acknowledgement is, I'm not quite sure what they're going to decide, whether it be just a basic document, whether it be shirts, whether it be supportive swag discs. But, I think, I'm doing it now. We guys, all these guys are doing it now. So I just feel like it's just another day-to-day activity of spreading the love. If Vibram wants to consider different people all over the United States and possibly in other countries, then yeah, they're going to have to look at some type of large-scale grip team, some type of membership, I would think.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that this application process that they've got out there is interesting. You filled out the application yesterday. Now that you've had a day to sit back and think about it, do you feel like you put all the right answers in the right places?
I'm not too worried about the right answers in the right places. I just kind of just put it all out there. These are things that I think of on a daily basis. I think it's I paid a lot of attention to the actual application questions, but it just came straight right out. It was just basic knowledge, basic information. I just felt like I was talking to somebody and saying, hey, this is kind of my little quick gist of it. It may just be a digital application. But man, I tell you what, you get to know me and you get to know all these other guys out here. I think you're looking for a good, positive personality, and I think the personality has a lot to do with it, especially with the Vibram and the kind of the fun quirkiness of Vibram is known for, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that with overall, if we can get some excitement out there for people to have a different view of Vibram, I think there's a bad taste in people's mouths for a lot of folks, honestly. I think it's just one of those things where they hear Vibram and they're like, that's that rubber stuff. That stuff's weird, man. I'm good. Like they don't even, you try to show it to them and they don't even touch it. Like they're afraid to touch it or something. But if they start seeing a handful of people chucking it at the same time, I think it could help.
I agree. I think that especially in some type of tournament setting or when you're playing with other people who are not familiar with Vibram and you got this great crushing lace shot and they're like, wow, what kind of disc was that? And you're like, hey, man, that's the Lace by Vibram. It's one of their greatest drivers. And they're like, wow, that's kind of a cool color. I'm like, yeah, check it out. It's pretty cool. I think that has an appeal to players. I think that if we had more pros getting out there and had the more ability for them to play bigger tournaments where they're being seen more on video, maybe the social media video aspect of it could help with that.
Yeah.
But I think also, being out there with a positive attitude and being known for, oh man, yeah, those are those Vibram guys, man. They got some cool stuff and they make some really good shots. But man, they're really cool to kind of hang out with. I kind of like their vibe and kind of their family thing they got going. Plus the disc is really cool. So, that's kind of what I've seen.
So with what they've got with this grip team coming out, do you how do you envision that experience being set up to where you would be happy? You know, they talked about having swag, they talked about having disc, and even potentially cash incentives for the grip team. You know, where's your head at with, you know, what they've laid out there and what you would want to see and what you think would be most successful?
Well, I think you said the word happy, and I would like personally, seriously, to see if this grip team, works, that the company works better, and that maybe the company grows, and that there's more discs that are getting sold, and there's more retailers out there that are selling more discs, and there's more guys that are on the pro tour, and there's more kids out there playing. Like what Ben said, man, that's a great idea with the kids in the school. That's amazing. I think that if anywhere, the company needs to see growth and more than just financial aspects. I think that they need to look at that aspect.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
So when you look at the fact that, you know, they say, hey, you're not required to do any tournaments, you're not required to play in them, but we do want you to show up and be excited and help out at events, right? So with that in mind, let's say that, you know, one of the requirements was that they don't want you playing the tournaments. They just want you there as a volunteer. Do you think that that would change people's perception and how they would feel about being on the team?
I personally, in regards to like how the person's being asked not to play, but just to kind of be present and
yeah, just to help out and just be an ambassador of the sport by helping out the TD at tournaments and that sort of thing. Do you think that would change the scope of folks that would want to get involved, or do you think folks are excited because they can throw around and say that they're part of Team Vibram?
I think that there's many aspects to that. I would have no problem volunteering just to help as a TD personally, because I know I got other guys out here that are throwing rubber and they're going to make some silly, killer, awesome shots. And, I get to actually make contact with every one of the players that check in. And I'll be like, hey, Vibram, check it out. This is what we got over here. And have that personal one-on-one contact with them if you're helping the TD. But I think visually having Vibram and the logo and the company being visually seen by players in tournaments and and out on the course, I think that's important too. So when you get these shirts on these guys, and these guys are wearing hats and they got these bright, awesome yellow shirts, I think that there's a whole I think there's a whole spectrum that goes into really getting it out there, and not just volunteering, but playing, Todd, there is so many aspects I can think of.
That's why we're here, man. That's why we're talking, right? because there's so many different ways that I see that this could be successful. One of the things that I see that could potentially be some struggles and could make this difficult, I'm curious to get your thoughts on it, is number one, how in the hell does somebody manage this team and have it be a size that is truly going to make a difference? That's number one. And then number two, does level of play matter? So if we've got folks out there like me that really, I'm terrible. I love playing the game, but I'm not that good of a player, right? So here I am, I'm out on the course, and I'm trying to convince somebody to give some rubber love. And, I'm just not representing the course in a way that, or the brand in a way that says that, hey, this disc will actually make you a decent player. I think people look at that and they consider that. They throw a destroyer because Paul McBeth throws a destroyer, and so it's got to be the best driver in the world, right?
In some aspects, yeah, but I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that you get the right person in the right spot. If you got the right personality guy just to get out there and make contact with these guys, and you got the right players with the right discs in their hand playing the right tournaments, I think that has a huge impact on it. That's tricky. Disc golf is growing more than I've seen in the last 5 years. It's just exploding, and with all the camera footage and all these awesome video footages of tournaments, I would really, man, I think that these kids are, with moving into the next generation, these kids are watching these videos, and this is how they're learning how to play disc golf when, they may not necessarily be able to get out there and play because they have these videos right at hand. I would like to see more Vibram guys either be am, pro, or just seeing them out there. Man, I think it was great to have, just any type of representation in any type of big type of tournament or just out in minis.
Yeah. So one of the things that, I was talking to Ben about earlier when you're talking about representation, the thing that Ben was saying was, if this team isn't significant size, if it's only 10, 15, 20 people, why did they disband Team Vibram and go this direction? And, I think that's a fair question. And I'm curious, when we start going out there and people are like, oh, you're grip team, but what happened to the guys that used to be on the team? How do you think those conversations are going to be had? Do you think that they'll be well received on the course from the outsider, the plastic throwers that do you think that they're going to take this grip team knowing that they dropped their pro team? Do you think they'll be well received?
Well, I think if they're asking about Vibram in general, they probably don't know maybe much about that.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. But the most important thing I would think is, goodness, hey, man, that'd be tough, Todd. It's hard to say, man.
Yeah, because I think it's one of those things to where there's going to be tough questions, right? You're going to get out there as grip team, and I have no doubt that if Vinny Miller was to walk into a retailer, and that retailer was even a fraction of a percent thinking about stock and Vibram, by the time Vinny leaves, they're stock and Vibram, right?
Yeah.
But Vinny knows everything he needs to know to sell that product to a retailer or to get that person excited in more than just, hey, here's how you throw the disc, here's how great it looks. But you get somebody out there that may not be as well-spoken, may not be as good of an athlete, but they're still representing in an excitable fashion. So you get somebody that's a great personality, but they're not a great player. Do you think that will still have an impact that will? Because I think one of the hardest things is converting people over from plastic to rubber. You think that'll help?
I think it would help, but I think what would more help is that the correct communication of information to the right members of the grip team. If they're going to be expected to communicate with retailers, I think that it's important that they know a lot of information about the history of the discs. I noticed a lot of application questions had something that has to do with collectors. So maybe there's a whole conglomerate of information that maybe Vibram is trying to put together right now so they can make better selections on who should be going to these things and who should be the guy out on the field or who should be the retailer or who should be the pro or who should be the guy playing, moving around and, getting the discs in the kids' hands. I've noticed that it's easier and I've seen more benefit instead of converting guys from plastic to Vibram, but more than giving these new players these discs, and getting them into it, because if they're introduced to it early in the sport, they have respect for the sport, they have respect for the disc, and then they can make their own decisions about that. I see that more beneficial than trying to convert these guys from plastic to rubber. I think if you just make the badass shots, if you can just make the best shots possible, man, the game's going to show for itself and the disc is going to prove itself.
Yeah, I hear you. And a slip of a cuss word is perfectly acceptable around my world.
I didn't know.
Yeah, you're good, brother. You're good. I'm a potty mouth. I'm actually proud of myself how well I hold
I've had like 4 Bulldog root beers, so easy.
There you go.
Right.
And I sent you real root beer. How about them?
Man, I know, right?
So the other thing that I'm thinking about with this grip team structure, that we've got some folks out there that are amateurs, and let's say they get some folks out there that are pros. I think that what would be really cool is if they took the grip team and they told them, they said, hey, I want you to run one event a month, for the next 6 months. And it's just one of those things where it's kind of like, I know up and down the East Coast here, I don't know if he goes all over the place, but you got the Heiser. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank now. But you got all the Heiser tournaments where he's got the series of tournaments all over the country or all up and down the East Coast here. And so it would be really awesome if you knew that the first week of every month that there was a grip team event gonna be in your region somewhere within a 2-hour drive. Would that not be badass?
I think that would be great. I think that may be something that I would, and my thought would be that may be something they're considering in replacing the Birdie Bash if it's easier to manage and it could get the appeal and maybe have more. And I mean, that's more. That's like one a month. I mean, that's a lot of exposure. And here in North Texas, man, there's tons of courses, so you can move all over the Metroplex a good 70 miles left to right, So,
yeah, because I think the thing is with the Birdie Bash format is that it was so tough because they had to ship you discs, you had to order discs, you had to do all this stuff. But if you're running a monthly event, but the benefit is all the prizes are Vibram prizes. So you can come and throw your plastic, do whatever you want. Come throw whatever you want to throw. There's no restrictions and no fancy stuff where you got to buy a Vibram disc up front or any of that mess. It's just a cheap, $10 tournament type thing, just a quick little hitter. But you've got all the prizes are Vibram. I think that can make a big difference.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's kind of what we do around here right now. We have multiple guys who donate 10 to 15 discs to the clubs that we play at minis because we got guys asking for Vibram now. And we're like, well, here, just take 10 or Vine. Or, hey, Money Shot Disc got 15. They're going to donate to the North Park tournament. So because these guys are asking for it. And, these retailers and these clubs don't necessarily have it. So we come donating in it. And hopefully that pushes the sales up around there. And hopefully there's retailers get on the ball,
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be exciting. So next week, I've got Jeff Laney is going to join me on a podcast. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
Big Jeff.
We're gonna have another Q&A. I'm gonna ask him the hard questions. I'll ask him some fun and easy questions. But if you could ask Jeff 3 things, what would they be?
I would just like to see how he's doing in general. I mean, I know he's taking on a lot of stuff with, taking over Steve Dodge's role in the Vibram Disc Golf portion of the company. And I know that's a lot to handle. I have respect for that, even though. My first question would be, man, how you doing? You doing all right? I know it's a lot going on.
Yeah, I hear that.
It's
got to be stressful, right?
He's a normal guy, like everyone else out here, apparently,
Yeah, I hear you.
So, heck, yeah. My second question would be, hey, how are we feeling for the next 2018? Any developments, any positive responses and information you guys are getting back that can help you make decisions about what you guys want to do? That would be something to get to ask, And thirdly, I'll be like, hey, man, do you like pepperoni pizza? Because, man, I am starving. Maybe you want to go get a slice of pizza and we can hash out some other questions. That's
I hear that.
3. Yeah.
I hear that, brother. So you got any plugs out there? I know your homie back there is doing some good things locally. So Money Shot Disc. So you gave him a little bit of love earlier. You got anybody else you want to give some shout outs to with your clan back there behind you?
Well, they're all playing pool or starting fires out and all out in the wilderness, out in the dark.
Nice.
But I do want to say something about the Frozen Toad Open. Last year, it was a great event. Myself and Mark Cantrell drove all the way up there to play it. It was sleeting. It was cold. It was tough. And, man, I tell you, we shot pretty well, and we impressed those guys up there. And what we did notice is that at the end of the players, when everyone's getting their payout and everything, Mike had a great selection of Vibram, about 45 discs. And by the time everyone was gone, there was probably maybe 3 or 4 left. I think these guys picked up some Vibram. So that's a great tournament, and it's tough. But it was fun, a great experience. So if you guys get a chance to get up there, and we may be trying to get up there as well, then we'll make another Vibram Rubberhead, Texas Rubberhead showing up there, and hopefully we can take out a win, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked at the trek. I'm not going to be able to make that one. It's a 16-hour drive for me, so not
That's
going to be
rough.
able to. Yeah, that's a little strong. So
Yeah.
won't be able to make that one. But it does look like there's a direct flight from Charlotte to Oklahoma. So I will put it on my flight watch list, and if it comes down to like next to nothing, I might try to make that trip myself, because I met Michael in Michigan a couple years ago at the Birdie Bash, and he's a great dude, and I know he's
Yeah.
got some awesome guys. He brought some guys up with him when he came. So, and if nothing else, I wanna steal his hat from him that he wore during Birdie Bash Worlds. That's an inside joke. You got to dig deep to know the true story behind that one.
Word.
But
Okay.
he's
All
got
right.
he's got the most amazing hat you've ever seen, but you have to dig deep into the Birdie Bash World Championships footage to find it.
Okay.
So
Maybe I could tickle him a little bit, get a
yeah,
giggle out of him.
you see that you get you get that hat out there, you'll understand my smile. So man, I greatly appreciate you coming back out and joining me again tonight. We had a much cleaner feed and a much cleaner response on both sides, your side and mine. So hopefully we will continue to have some conversations, and I will circle you crazy nutty rubberheads from Texas. I'll circle you guys back in somewhere down the road for sure. And somebody broke something. Perfect timing.
Mark in the back.
Good job, Mark. Good job, buddy.
We had a great time out here. We had a tough round.
Mark, show some love for your company here, man. Money.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. I love that.
Yeah, this is the minis that these guys made for us, man.
That's
We got a pretty
awesome.
good club. We got shirts.
Yeah,
We
boy.
got like Sailor Ranch shirts we made, man. I mean,
Yeah.
this we did even this. Got that made. A little.
Yeah, look at these guys.
Wow.
These guys are legit, y'all. That's nice. That's the way to
Yeah.
do it, man.
Yeah. So.
That is the way to do it. I love it. Good job, guys. Thanks
All
for
right.
joining me, brother. We'll catch up with you on the flip side.
You got it, Todd. Appreciate it, bro.
Thanks, man.
See ya.
See you guys. All right, everybody. So that's a busy night once again tonight. That was a good time. Ben, I love the tough love, man. I love the fact that you come out and it's no BS, and you're being straight up with how you feel about it, because like I said, I've got mixed emotions. You know, I feel really excited about what's coming, but you know, I'm an old school guy. You know, it's tough to break me away from, you know, where things have been going. So to know that you've got guys out there, you know, like Chris, you got guys out there like Jeremy and Michael, and you know, even the guys Bob Graham that we, you know, hardly hear from, but he's been on the team forever. You know, these guys that have been out there, and you know, as excited as we are is having a new opportunity, you know, we have to be cognizant of the fact that they're out there questioning, you know, why did this new opportunity replace what I was doing? And, you know, I know for me personally, I have a ton of gratitude for all of you, all of the players from Vibram Disc Golf, even the guys that are no longer on the team now. I mean, Dana Vici was obviously a huge piece of that puzzle early on. And, you know, me personally, I want to thank all of you out there, because we wouldn't be here right now even having the possibility of Grip Vibram team if we didn't have a solid foundation to keep things where they were. You know, Steve Dodge was obviously doing some amazing things over the years, but he had some amazing ambassadors out there pushing this up until this point. And so, you know, I would hope that every single one of you applies. I know that seems silly with the formality of applying for the Grip team, but I hope that you all do. And, you know, I hope, Jeff, if you're watching too, that, you know, you'll consider having those guys be, you know, regional managers or team leads, for lack of better terms, and try to take this Grip team and not necessarily forget about our past, which I don't think that we are necessarily, but how do we take our past, roll it into what we want to do in the future, and make it amazing for everybody. So I think that's possible, but I think that everybody needs to, um, be patient with the approach, and I think that everybody needs to be open-minded with the approach, because the fact that it is so ground floor, it gives us the ability to lift and shift, I think. And of course, this is just me speaking from where I'm sitting right here. I haven't had a chance to talk to Jeff in detail about this. I haven't seen any contract terms yet, but just knowing general business and knowing how this disc golf community has been, I just really think that there's a lot of possibility. Now, there's definitely the possibility of failure, but the possibility for success for this thing can be so much larger than I think the fraction of the failure. I think the best thing that we can do is for all of you out there that may feel like, oh man, they're doing something different, let's get away from this. Turn that around and say, you know what? Let's everybody get like stupid, crazy motivated for 1 year. Let's go out there and make a concerted effort to push the brand and to try to get people excited, and really make an extra effort to say, hey man, it's been great playing with you. Here's a disc, and be willing to do those types of things. And I think that's important. I think that can make a big difference. And I think more than anything else, in our world, and as crazy as this damn world is right now with everything that goes on in politics and international affairs and all that stuff, in our small little disc golf world, we have a lot of control over our happiness. And so with that, we need to take the pieces of this grip team, and everybody grab something from it and try to make something of it. I think that we can make it a success as a hashtag all the time. Vibram family, Vibram strong. And I'm just trying to be a forum here for everybody to get their word out. So if you're watching this and you want to just come on and talk, you don't want to be on video. If you don't want to be on video, you don't have to be on video. I can just get you straight on the phone to where we hear audio if you want to join. Anybody who wants to get out there and have a conversation about this, positive or negative, I'm not going to stop you. If you want to bash it and say it's the dumbest idea out there, I saw Maple Worm out there. He didn't think it was a great idea. He thought it was going to be a downward slope. I'm sure there's a lot of guys in the Maple Hill area that probably feel the same way, but they're not seeing what they're used to seeing anymore. So with that, they're probably a little nervous. They're seeing that Vibram might not necessarily be, Michigan or Massachusetts strong, should I say. So I don't know. I think that it'll be interesting to see what happens, and I appreciate everybody for being part of it. I saw that there were 2 guys out there. Benjamin Overbeek shared the post, so I appreciate that, and Chris Lewandowski shared the post as well. So again, I'm doing a giveaway. It'll be for the scorecards and the Birdie Bash deck of cards. Share this post. Let's get it out there, and on the next podcast, I will announce a winner and get this out to somebody. And the next podcast will be in the next couple of days. We're going to try to get some more people on here to chat, and we'll continue this conversation. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. I hope that you guys can make it out to the course this weekend, and hope you continue to throw them straight and you make your next round your best round.